Welcome back to Katana TCG. In this abbreviated archetype, we'll be talking about Single Strike Urshifu. Single Strike Urshifu. Rapid Strike Urshifu's darker half, evil twin, whatever you want to call it, is a powerhouse of a Pokemon. For 3 colorless, you could do Beatdown for 100. For 3 fighting and 1 colorless, you could do Gmax 1 blow for 270. The damage of this Pokemon's attack isn't affected by the effects of your opponent's Pokemon. This swings through Zamazenta, Decidueye, Altaria, Glaceon, Duraludon, what have you. It's an insane attack. Single Strike Urshifu V also has a tremendous amount of merit as well. For 1 fighting attachment, Laser Focus allows you to search your deck for up to 2 fighting energy cards and attach them to this Pokemon. So your Gmax 1 blow is 3/4 of the way primed on your turn 1 going second. And for 2 fighting and 1 colorless, this Pokemon can use Impact Blow for 180, and during your next turn, this Pokemon cannot use Impact Blow. Single Strike Urshifu on paper already looks like one of the most powerful cards without any additives. And I'm here to tell you that there are additives in the form of Single Strike Energy. This card can only be attached to a Single Strike Pokemon. As long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides 1 Dark or 1 Fighting at a time. And for each Single Strike Energy attached to a Pokemon, it does 20 more damage. So if you stack 4 of these Single Strike Energies on your Single Strike Urshifu, you're dealing 350 damage, which is well over all VMAX range in the game. Single Strike Energy is also incredibly accessible with things like Houndoom. The Single Strike Roar ability, once during your turn, you may go into your deck, find a Single Strike Energy, and accelerate it onto one of your Pokemon anywhere on the field. And they do take 2 damage counters for having this energy accelerated onto them. So yes, there is a small drawback to accelerating that energy, but being able to get potentially 4 of these out on the field, and then on back-to-back turns being able to use Gmax 1 blow just seems incredibly OP. Now, in order to get the board state set up in the way that you want, we try to mix in things like Capture Energy. When you attach this to a Pokemon, it allows you to go grab another basic Pokemon from your deck and place it directly onto your bench. So on your first turn, if you're not going to laser focus, there are opportunities for you to get out Houndour, to attach a Capture Energy, to get out another Houndour, or to get out another Single Strike Urshifu, depending on how your board state looks. We also have things in the format right now, thanks to Fusion Strike, like Battle VIP Pass, where on your first turn you can go into your deck and get 2 basic Pokemon. Single Strike is one of those archetypes that really benefit from having the board state locked down very early in the game, because having multiple of these out means you can have multiple energy accelerating dogs, which means each turn you can get up to 4 or 5 energy with the hand attachment accelerated onto any of your Single Strike Pokemon. Umbreon is another important partner in Single Strike. For 1 dark attachment, you can use Mean Look for 30 during your opponent's next turn that a Pokemon can't retreat. This attack can also be fulfilled with the Single Strike Energy. Moonlight Blade for 1 darkness and 2 colorless can do 80 plus damage. If this Pokemon has any damage counters on it, this attack does 80 more damage. Didn't we have something earlier in the form of Houndoom that puts damage counters onto Pokemon whilst accelerating energy? That means that this bad boy does 160 damage for just existing within the Single Strike archetype, and if you're adding the Single Strike Energy to it, that only amplifies the damage even further. The real deal with Umbreon VMAX being so important in Single Strike is the Dark Signal ability, allowing you to evolve your Umbreon VMAX, then gusting one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. It's a real set and spike for things like Urshifu. In most cases, being able to boss essentially, and then use a separate supporter as well, is so important in this format. And not only that, but it has a very worthwhile attack in the form of Max Darkness. For 1 dark and 2 colorless, it does 160 damage, and that's without any of the damage modifiers that Single Strike Energy provide you. When building a Single Strike deck, it's also very important to include things like Urn of Vitality, which is an item card that allows you to shuffle up to 2 of your Single Strike Energy cards back into your deck, thus allowing you to re-accelerate them with things like your Houndoom. Single Strike also has access to cool things like the Tower of Darkness. Once during each player's turn, they may discard any card with this neat little Single Strike tag from their hand and draw 2 cards off the top of their deck. Single Strike also has cool things like the Single Strike Scroll of Scorn. You can attach it to a Single Strike Pokemon, and for 1 fighting, you can do 10 damage. But it also does 10 more damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. So if you're sitting there with a cool, crispy 260, 270, 300 plus damage, you're doing that amount of damage back for 1 energy plus 10. And that's without damage modifiers like your Single Strike Energy. So if you have 300 damage on you and you have the Single Strike Scroll of Scorn, you can come back and hit for 330 damage, which is insane for one energy attachment. When talking about Single Strike as an archetype, I think it's also important to discuss things like Morpeko that came out in Fusion Strike. For one dark attachment, this Pokemon does Explosive Discontent for 30 times damage. This attack does 30 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. Now what's cool is, we referred to this in the Umbreon, but the Single Strike Roar ability allowing you to place damage counters on the Pokemon that you accelerate energy to works well in lineage with this Morpeko, allowing you to accelerate 2 Single Strike energy onto this Pokemon. Not only is it doing 120 damage base without the damage modifier, but if you include the perk that the Single Strike energy provides you as well, you're doing an additional 40 damage. So now your single price Pokemon for 2 energy on it with 40 damage counters on it does a whopping 160 damage, and that is absolutely insane. So when you look at Single Strike through a scope, it's just high damage output all around. Thank you for watching my abbreviated archetype on Single Strike Urshifu. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, like and comment on the video, and then turn on your notifications for whenever I release another abbreviated archetype video. Deuces.